It's 7:36 in the region. You're listening to the Summer of Chuck 2, the Electric Boogaloo. The WJOB attorneys have asked me to apologize for the following.
CBS cares.
And that's the list. I take back everything I said. No, not really. Okay.
This just in, a federal judge is now requiring that Chuck Pullen apologize for everything from 638 on.
Everything he's ever said in his entire life. Almost. Okay, so understand where I'm coming from here. I'm not saying it should have happened. I'm not saying it shouldn't have happened. I'm just asking the question, looking at this historically from my lifetime, same play. I mean, I knew the second that he started talking about threats and diplomacy that it was going to blow up. I mean, I literally go back in my Facebook a week. I said, it's going to blow up soon. I bought oil futures. I was hoping my oil futures went up threefold last week. They'll probably double again today. So again, you could say I didn't, we're Monday morning quarterbacks. I bought oil futures for a reason, because every time I know this playbook, every time we start having these discussions, things blow up and then oil goes through the roof. I filled up my gas tank last night, and I hope all of you did too, because oil is going to go up $10 or $20 a barrel here, depending on what happens this week. I'm just asking why. I'm asking why. Why? And I know, like, there's all these things. And like I said, I mean, I have this thing that we talk about, the boogeyman. Like, is this another boogie? Is this a real threat, or is this another boogeyman? I don't know. And that's why we're having this discussion this morning, because I know a lot of you are sitting in your cars and you're asking, like, do we want to get into another conflict? Is this what we want to do? Is this what we want, like, is this what we want the globe to think of us? Is we're just, America is these guys that come in a big black Dorito and drop bombs on everybody, or drones. I mean, drone strikes on weddings and things, and, blow up. So again, I always think about, like, if I'm a kid living in one of these communities that's getting drone striked, are we making, are we their hero, or are you making another generation's worth of enemies that we're going to have to fight again in 20 or 30 years? Like, I can't imagine a scenario where you're bombing people and they're cheering, like, hey, yeah, you're blowing up our nuclear facilities. Like, you're just creating another generation of people that are going to hate us. So we have this cycle that never ends. I mean, that's all I'm getting at. I'm getting at, is this the way to, I mean, I always want to break the cycles because I'm tired of seeing the cycle. Like, is this how we break the cycle? No, this is how we continue the cycle. Go ahead.
Chuck Pullen, breaker of chains.
Break the chains, right? I mean, again, I go to church and they always talk about break the chains, generational curses. This is our generational curse. As we go to the Middle East, we blow stuff up. We sit there for 20 years. We don't know what we're doing. That's a generational curse. And you can get into the history. I was thinking about this the other day. All of this is basically the United Kingdom's fault, because they went in and drew these arbitrary lines in the Middle East, in the middle of all these different, different groups. And it's like, the more that you meddle, the more problems you cause. Like, maybe we should just stop meddling for a while and see if things work themselves out. Like, that's.
Well, and to put I don't want to be flippant about this. If that is not how every supervillain story starts.
Right.
That there is a conflict between nations that has very little to do with the common person who is then affected. Then something happens bad. Their village gets bombed, and now they're seeking revenge against everyone. Now, I know that just sounds like a movie plot, but you're not wrong.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At least somebody.
That's not a blanket statement.
Okay, so do we have any calls? You have one call. Okay, go ahead. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, guys. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
I believe one of our biggest problems was we quit fighting a war to win after World War II. We didn't fight Korea to win. We didn't fight Vietnam to win. And I think if we had, things would have been a lot different.
Well, that's the question, though, is like I said earlier, we came out of that World War II mentality of march to Berlin, take out Hitler, go home, kiss the girl. And war isn't always that clean. You know what I mean? Like, even like, what was a win to Vietnam? Was it where you weren't going to take out communism? Like, that's maybe it's like it was a land grab. But I mean, that's the whole thing, is like this whole idea of winning and losing. And if you approach war with like, we can win and lose, like, no, even like pick any battle, pick the Civil War, pick anything. Like, like what is winning and losing? Everybody, a bunch of people die. More of them died than us. Like, that's the whole thing, is like this idea that war is this clean thing. Go take out Hitler and win. Like, it's not always that way. And I think that's the problem, is we went into it, every conflict since World War II, we went into it with a we can win mindset. And then, Afghanistan was a perfect example of, it took us 7 days, or Iraq takes 7 days to conquer. And then, well, now what? I mean, like, what do we do? Do we nation build? Do we teach them? Like, I mean, that's the whole thing, is we're great at blowing stuff up. We're not so great at, like, the diplomacy on the back end. And we get stuck there for 20 years.
Well, if I don't know if you remember or not, but MacArthur wanted to go into China because during Korea, and Truman fired him. So he wouldn't let him do it. And again, we have not really won a war since World War II.
Right. But I mean, again, that's the whole thing, is that what is winning and losing, right? I mean, didn't we want to, wasn't there talk about marching to Moscow after we took out Hitler? I mean, and like, just keep going. Or even, like, you can talk about Japan and why we, used the bombs, and if we should or shouldn't have, and all these things. There's all these things that we can go back and dissect about history. And that's the problem, is just like, and I always go back to one of the greatest things Trump ever said when they were asking him about winning the war. He's just like, he's talking about the war in Ukraine. He says, I just want people to stop dying. Right. I mean, and again, that's the most noble thing you can say when it comes to war, is like, I just want people to stop dying. I don't care who they are, because that's somebody's son, somebody's daughter that's dying on a battlefield. I just want them to stop dying.
Well, yeah, for sure on that. But again, if we would have won Korea, if we would have won Vietnam, things might be a lot different today.
Or we might have won, and then they might have nuked us. I mean, that's the thing, is that we can look back on it and say, well, what would that have meant to take Korea or take Vietnam? Would there have been retaliation? Would the Russians have come to Vietnam and pushed us back, and it would have ended up in a nuclear holocaust? Like, we don't know. We don't know what winning and losing would have been in that scenario. What was the long-term cost of had we won Vietnam, whatever that would have been.
But during Korea, I think we were the only ones with the big bomb, weren't we?
Well, yeah, I mean,
Russia had it yet.
Was it around that time frame? I mean, yeah, it was around that time frame where they were developing it. But yes, I mean, even like dropping the atomic bombs on Japan was mainly a show of force to Russia. It's like, hey, look what we've got, and we're not afraid to use it. And that was a deterrent for a long time. But even now, you look at what's happening in Ukraine and Russia with the drone warfare. I'm watching these videos of their swarming tanks and swarming people with drones. Like the field of war, the theater of war is changing with these drones. I mean, it's changed the way that they do battle, right? So I mean, that's the whole thing, is like, even this idea of, we spend all these money on these advanced fighter jets, and yet our enemy can take us out with a swarm of drones that cost $100 each. You know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing, is that my concern is that the American military mentality is not keeping up with the technology. Like, even the idea of like sending the Nimitz and things like that. Like, we've got the Nimitz, and aircraft carriers used to be this huge show of force after World War II, and now, or do they still hold that same power that they once hold? I don't know, and that's the question. So,
I would imagine they do, because they've got 20 some odd ships with them. I believe just the other day with the Nimitz, they went in there. They had a rare sighting of the submarine surfacing, just to show that we've got this this massive show of force. And we were talking about the and I don't know how to pronounce it, the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to have a battle group there, and when Israel started their attack on Iran, we were in the we were over there with our destroyers.
But even when you mention the Strait of Hormuz, think about what started Vietnam. Walt mentioned it first thing this morning, the Gulf of Tonkin incident. That may or may not have happened. So I mean, and there's conspiracy theorists that said, wait, you're sending the Nimitz that's about to retire to the Strait of Hormuz, like your spidey senses start tingling. So same idea, like this is starting to have those Vietnam vibes of we're sending a battle group to the Strait, and then what if it gets attacked, and then now it's a police action. So I mean, that's the whole thing. If the more you know about history, you're like, spidey senses are tingling everywhere, going, I don't like where this is going. So hey, the Lieutenant Governor is here. We're going to take a break. We're going to bring him in. We're going to talk all things Indiana. So we're going to talk about taxes and tolls and all of my favorite topics So hit the button, Joe. Thank you. Okay. We're going to be back with more Summer of Chuck 2, the Electric Boogaloo here on WJOB.